Welcome to Living from the Inside Out with Holly Wade. Living from the Inside Out is about living fully, guided from your inside. Holly shares the wisdom of how your mind, body, and spirit are truly connected and that you deep down know your own answers. Holly and her guests will provide tips, practices, and inspirational stories to help you approach your life from your own heart. And here's Holly.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. This is your host, Holly Wade, and welcome to Living from the Inside Out. Today, we're going to connect to our body, and not in some weird way. So if you had thoughts that you shouldn't have, shame on you. Here's the thing. Our bodies have a language. It's actually really simple. We just haven't been taught about our bodies. You've probably been taught all kinds of subjects: history, English, math, science. But what do you really know about your own body? And I'm not talking anatomy or basic physiology. I'm talking about really tapping into those signals of your body, because it's constantly communicating with you. Here's the thing. Your body is here to be your best friend. Its job is to keep you alive. So it will do everything in its power to make sure that happens. And it's constantly giving you information. It's constantly sending you signals so that you can respond or react for survival. Now, once you understand those signals, you can make a choice. You always have that power. So what we're really going to dive into today is something called the mind-body connection. It's called psychosomatic. Psycho is your mind. Somatic is your body. And I'm just going to break it down in very tangible, accessible, understandable terms. And that's not that you're not intelligent, it's because you are intelligent. Here are some of the misnomers. So this mind-body connection is, quote, new age. Actually, no, it's ancient wisdom. You have been connected to these signals since the beginning, since you were being formed in the womb, since before you were actually born. So it's very real and tangible stuff. A lot of times, though, people will speak in these like really over intelligent terms that we can't understand. So we don't think that we have the ability to heal ourselves or to understand ourselves. And I'm here to tell you that that's just simply not true. So let's get into what is this psychosomatic, this mind-body connection. We have this thing called the central nervous system. It's your brain coming down into the brain stem and leading into the spine, right? And not even your spine, but those cords of the central nervous system that live inside of your spine, and then they branch out to form your nervous system. This is how your brain and your body connect. They're constantly sending signals back and forth. So you may have learned this even back in elementary school. Your brain is giving signals to your body constantly, and you don't even have to tell it. Your brain is telling your lungs to breathe. Your brain is telling your heart to beat. Your brain is telling your muscles to move. So that is one way of that communication to take place. The other is for your body to send a signal to your brain, and then your brain's going to go back to your body. So as an example, you touch something hot. Those sensory signals in your body send a signal to your brain to say, whoo, pull that away, right? And it happens just faster than that, right? It happens so quickly. That's how intelligent your body is. So let's go a little step deeper. The very first thing to form in the womb is this, your spinal cord. From that, your heart and your brain develop. Isn't that fascinating? And as you are in the womb, all of this is absorbing information. So if your mom is going through a really stressful time, or her relationship with your father isn't healthy at the time, you're picking that up. So if you've always been anxious, it may have something to do with that. Maybe your mom was anxious while she was carrying you, and you were taking that in, you were taking that on. Once you come out of the womb, you're still picking up these signals. So what happens is your body has this stored information, and something can happen in your life to trigger this, because it's your body's way of saying, hey, been there before. Fight, flight, or freeze, because we need to survive. So it's going to kick something into gear. So let's just bring in a practical example. You are dating someone. Different package. And yet some of his behaviors, or hers, repeat a pattern of previous relationships. You're so enamored that you're like, oh, he's great or she's great. And yet your gut keeps sending you these little red flags, right? But we know what love does. Love makes us all giddy and makes us do silly things. So we keep dismissing it. We keep going, oh, but, and stuffing it back down. But your gut is going, hey. And it will give you those little nudges until it has to scream at you to get your attention. Finally, when you go, oh, been here before, and break that relationship off, your body settles back down. See how this works? What we don't express, what we push back down and ignore, will show up somewhere in our bodies. It will express itself somehow, because emotion is energy in motion. It's not necessarily happy and sad and angry like you learned when you were a child. Now, those are kind of elementary ways of expressing or explaining things. But what we feel inside of our body is often inexplainable. We just know that we feel. Those senses in our body will pick up this information more quickly than our brain. Our brain will often override it, just like the example I just gave with dating someone. Our brain will override it and will rationalize. Oh, well, that didn't really, oh, well, he didn't really mean it. Oh, that person didn't really. So another example is that we might see this pattern of behavior in someone, and then we'll rationalize, oh, they're a good person. So rather than calling them out on it, we'll let them get away with it. And then something down the road happens and we're like, oh, yeah, I just knew something was going on. I just knew something didn't add up. Exactly. That is your body's wisdom. See, it's not all woo-woo. It isn't woo-woo. It isn't magic. It isn't intangible. It is right there. You just didn't know how to explain what was going on. You just knew that things didn't quite add up. So when we don't trust that in ourselves, we don't trust what's happening, it creates a disconnection between our brain and our body, creates dis-ease in our bodies. So let's talk a little bit about what your body might be expressing. And then we're going to go into a little activity to help you start to understand how things feel in your body. So if your legs feel heavy or tight or just kind of like you're stuck, where are you stuck in life? How are you not standing on your own 2 feet? If you feel anxious in your gut, you feel those butterflies, you feel that spinning, that nervousness, what are you afraid of? And it might be, when we are doing public speaking, we can feel those butterflies right before we go on. And then once we start, you might get into this flow and this energy that's really alive and present. That's a good thing. Use that energy, use that anxiousness. So it can be a good thing because you can flip that anxiety to excitement like that. But it's all about fear of the future. Do your shoulders ride up to your ears and create tension between your neck and shoulders? Why are you carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders? That posture, when we're rounded through the shoulders and pulling our heart in, is known as the pose of sadness in other parts of the world. So if you feel that sadness, that depression, why are you stuck in the past? What are you worried about? See, it's a practice of surrender. It's an opportunity to open up to surrender. It's an opportunity to open up the heart for joy, because the heart is the wellspring of joy and emotion. That open-heartedness is when we are open. That blood is pumping, or the heart is pumping blood, which is an expression of joy through your body. Now, when we stay in the state of depression, of sadness, we change the chemistry in our body. And when that happens, it's creating this cesspool. Whenever we're overly stressed, depressed, sad, anxious, any of those things that are pulling us down, quite literally, are creating a chemical change in our body that is a cesspool for disease to thrive. So that emotion drives dis-ease in the body. Those little signals in the body are trying to tell you something so that you can change that at any moment. Let's change that a little bit. So I talked about the body having these emotions. Now let's change that, because the mind also drives those responses in the body, right? So our thoughts can change that, and we can learn to understand. We can learn to observe our thoughts and either take it or dismiss it. So these thoughts, think about the stories that you tell yourself. Think about the stories that you're telling yourself about the holidays. Are you setting it up to be this perfect thing and putting pressure on yourself to create the perfect holiday? Or beating yourself up because you can't do all the things? See, that's your thought driving that pressure inside of you. I had something happen this weekend where there was a miscommunication between my boyfriend and myself. And he didn't respond to a text that I had sent. And I was creating these stories and working up this anxiety inside of myself. And when we finally got to communicate, It had nothing to do with that. He was like, I just know myself and know that I was going to respond by saying something that really wouldn't have helped the cause. So I just chose to disengage for a while. Let it drop. Beautiful. Not so beautiful in what I was building up inside of me, and I had no reason to let it build up. See what I mean? So see how our thoughts can create this anxiety, this something inside of us that really isn't necessary. So that is how the brain-body connection works. It's literally ancient wisdom. It has been how the body is built from the very beginning. It is how the body is created. And this is the understanding and the wisdom of the body that we need to have. Not the textbook physiology, not that that's not useful or helpful, but this inner knowing, this understanding of how the body works is quite empowering. This is how you create health and vibrancy. Because when your body is happy, when you understand how to create ease in your body, you create vitality and vibrancy. And you have this power. You've just never been taught how to access it or how to use it. And it doesn't have to take sitting on a mountaintop for days to get there. You can do it in 5 minutes. So let's do a little activity to help you. So if you aren't driving or at work listening to this, if you're someplace where you can get comfortable, go right ahead and close your eyes. And we're just going to do this little exercise so that you understand where you store these emotions or how this feels in your body. Because this is kind of a basis for helping you to learn to tap in so that you really do know, so that you're more emotionally intelligent and can be more emotionally stable. Because the healthy thing is to learn to express it and shift it rather than just stuffing it. Stuffing it is unhealthy, and that is what we've been taught, at least in my 40-some years on this planet. It's not okay to show emotion. That's actually unhealthy. We're not robots. We are living beings with lots of experiences, and the intelligence and wisdom of our body will surpass any machine. So once you're comfortable, take a couple of breaths and feel your belly expand. Feel that rib cage open up and drop back in as you inhale and exhale. Now, consider a time in your life when you felt nervous about something, when you weren't quite sure how the outcome would be. And notice what that feels like in your body. Where do you feel that? And how does that feel? We're not judging, we're not holding on to these experiences, we're just using them as tools and pieces of information. So take away any response, just approach your body with curiosity. Now think of a time when you were really, really angry with someone. Notice where you feel that and how you feel that in your body. Notice that rage rise up. And what happens? This is starting to understand your body's wisdom, starting to understand these responses. so that as you experience this tension in your body in real life, in real time, you can go, oh, this is what I'm feeling. Now consider a time when you felt grief and sadness over something. Where does that show up in your body and how? Think of something that worries you. Now notice where that shows up in your body. Now think of someone that makes you smile, and when you see them, what happens? What's that response in your body? Think of a peaceful place where you like to spend time. How does calm feel in your body? How does relaxation feel in your body? Think of feeling tired and exhausted, like you've put in a full day of work and you're just beat. Where do you feel that? Where does that tension show up in your body? Now think of an experience in your life that made you really happy. How does that feel in your body? Think of being giddy and just wanting to laugh. And even if you burst out laughing, even better. Like, what does that feel like? See how this energy works? See how these signals in your body work? Go ahead and take a couple of deep breaths and bring yourself back to relaxation and joy. And then when you're ready, open your eyes. See, now this kind of shows up in what you experienced is the muscles of your body, but remember that organs are muscles too. And that things will express themselves in your organs. So if you had a broken heart, it shows up in your heart. Joy expresses itself through your heart. Fear shows up in the gut. Being pissed shows up in the kidneys and the bladder. So if you get low back pain, it might have something to do with your kidneys. Liver gallbladder is anger. What's got your gall? What's irritating you? What's frustrating you? What's unexpressed rage? So if you're experiencing some issues physiologically, you might want to come back to the emotional root. Ladies, if you're having issues with your reproductive system, what scares you about intimacy? See, it's not crazy woo-woo stuff. Your body literally is giving you tangible information. And where you store those emotions, where you repress those emotions, whatever you suppress is going to express itself somewhere. It's not something to be afraid of at all. It's something to approach with curiosity, because that's when you have the power to shift it and to come back into ease, to come back into alignment, mind, body, spirit. That's all it is. That is how the mind-body connection works. It's not all that crazy woo-woo stuff. It's not inaccessible to you. It's quite accessible to you. It's ancient wisdom applied to your modern life. And once you learn to tap into that wisdom, you can change it like that. You can shift that energy and release it. It doesn't take this big process. It just takes a little bit of understanding. It takes some self-study, and not through a self-help book. It takes self-study of just sitting and learning to engage with your body, learning to understand it, learning to be curious about it, learning to be friends with it, and to start to play and enjoy and having fun in your body. That's when it gets really good. And once you're able to do that, you've gained all the power that you need. You have all the abundance that you need, because you understand the one thing that you have in this entire lifetime: your body and you. This deeper soul that is in you that gets to live in this body. How cool is that? So if there's something that really resonates with you today and that you want to go into a deeper understanding of your body's wisdom, I've created an 8-week course called Bliss Body. And each week, we're tapping into a different part of your body, a different chakra. We're going to understand that energy center from the emotional side, from the physical side, from that spiritual side. As weird as that may sound, we're really truly connecting mind, body, spirit in very practical terms. And we're going to use the tools of movement, meditation, and manuscript each week to help you learn to access the wisdom of your body. So you're going to have lots of support. You're going to have lots of encouragement. And you're going to have lots of tools to help you with that. Because your body is a living laboratory. It's really, really fun when we understand this living being that we get to be a part of. So if you would like information with that, email me at holly@hollywadewellness.com, and we'll set up a little call so that you can get a little more information, get a little sampling of how it works, and get you on your way if that's the program for you. Thanks for joining me on today's episode of Living from the Inside Out, because this body is the most important thing that you have. And when we learn to live from that anchor inside of us, it spills out. When you have a happy body, you create a healthy body. And that is what is attractive. If you think that this episode can help someone else, please, please, please share it with them. I'm Holly Wade with Holly Wade Wellness, and thanks for letting me be a part of your day today. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining us at Living from the Inside Out. Listen every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. To connect with Holly, just go to www.globalvoiceradio.com. Global Voice Radio is where your voice and your message is heard.